Hello and welcome to the She Is Loved Project. This podcast is dedicated to helping you heal from the challenging and painful relationship with your mother so you can finally experience the love you've always craved. I'm your host, Jennifer Arnice. I'm a mother wound coach, author, and healer who believes tenderness and vulnerability are your true superpowers. Sis, it's time to finally heal your inner little girl so you can start thriving and not just surviving. Progressive, irreverent, and real, this podcast will have you laughing and crying at the same time. Trust me, you don't want to miss an episode. Hey y'all, welcome back to the She Is Loved Project podcast, and it is me, your host, Jennifer Arnice. We are, just a couple of weeks out from Christmas. We made it through 2021. This has been the longest year. This has been the longest 2 years, it feels like, of my life because so much is happening, but then at the same time, it's like it flew by. I cannot wait for next year. While I know it's just, January 1st is just another day, and this whole concept of years is some type of some made up shit somebody else put together to keep us on track and keep us under their goddamn thumb so we can work for the man. Okay, I digress. But I'm really looking forward to January. I have been on a part of my healing, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was maybe like the last episode was like, are you healing or are you hiding? And I am on this path, like this path of what I call changing my life. And meaning not only how I feel about myself on the inside and how I see myself, but that healing showing up as a physical expression of my life changing. And in the middle of me journaling this morning, a part of my practice is morning pages. Some of you may have heard of it. Google it if you are interested. I'm not going to get into that right now because it's just another form of journaling. But somehow when I call it morning pages, I'm much more accountable to it, and I do it every day versus just journaling when I feel like it. It's very intentional right now. So what came up, and you're supposed to do 3 pages every day, right? I did 5 today, and I have a big notebook. So that just lets you know all of the shit that I'm working through right now. And this wasn't even my planned topic. But this is what I feel like talking about. So, hey, it's my podcast. So we talk about what I want to talk about. And if I'm going through it, I know other people are as well. And what came up for me, I don't even know where to begin. Maybe I'll work backwards. This idea that I was not taking my life seriously. And when I think about it, I know it's true. Even though I'm, air quote, doing my best and I'm working hard and I'm busy, am I really taking my life seriously? Am I taking my dreams really seriously? Am I taking my desires seriously? Meaning, do I really believe I can have what I say I want? Or are my actions really me trying to just get what I think I can have because I don't really believe I can have what I really want? And from a mother wound perspective, this is really big because the mother wound teaches us that we don't have autonomy over our lives, that we're not in control of our lives. And that we are responsible for other people's happiness, other people's emotions, other people's comfort. Because that's what we were taught as children. That's what we learned from our mother, that we were not emotionally prioritized and our needs were not to be centered. So when you grow up with this as an adult, even though you're smart, educated, you have a job, from the outside looking in, you've got it going on, internally, you really know that there's a part of you that doesn't validate yourself. You haven't validated your painful experiences, right? So how can you ever validate the dreams that you have in a real way, right? They feel almost like abstract. You can't trust your feelings. And you probably can understand this from the perspective of trauma, where we minimize things that have happened to us in our childhood, or things that have happened to us even recently that didn't feel good to us, but we don't have this internal emotional authority to, what am I trying to say? To own our experience, right? Because we never learned how to do that, and we were never given permission or authority to do that as children. So then how can you own your dreams? How can you really affect true change in your life? Now, you can accomplish things, but when we talk about your really, like, the things that are in your heart, that you don't talk about, that you don't tell people about, that you've dreamed about since childhood, the things that are, illogical, or chances are from the outside looking in, that shit ain't never gonna happen, sis. But for you, you're like, that's what I want, right? And as I embrace my true ambitions, the true desires of my heart, and as I've been on this path of showing up instead of hiding, doing the real healing that requires me to be more disciplined, focused, committed, and consistent, I'm like, oh shit, this right here might really could happen. And even if it doesn't happen, and I get emotional saying what I'm about to say because it's like an aha moment. Wouldn't I rather live a life in hot pursuit of my dreams? Even if I don't reach them, because, it's really not about how it looks to anybody else when you get to this point, right? It's really you against you, right? And how you prove to yourself every day that you're worthy of your dream. It's not even the accomplishment of it or having it, but the fact that you're worthy of having the dream, and you believe in yourself enough to get up and put one foot in front of the other to move that dream forward. For some people, this isn't a big deal, right? But for others, for some of y'all, for me, it's really revolutionary, because it's like finally me being able to embrace myself, right? And not just in a way where it sounds good on paper and I can say all the right esoteric things, but being able to soothe my own anxiety. When I have an idea and I want to move on it, but the anxiety says, oh, go do laundry. Oh, go watch a TV show. Go hop on Instagram. For me to be able to reparent myself in that moment, take a deep breath, remind myself that I'm safe, remind myself that I'm not alone, be present in the moment, ask the questions. What are you afraid of? What do you think is going to happen if you do this? How can we break it down into smaller pieces? How can we make the task more manageable? How can I support you? How can I be there for you? Like, healing your mother wound, like I keep telling you guys, it really has nothing to do with your mother. It has nothing to do with fixing the relationship you have with her. It has nothing to do with fixing her. It has nothing to do with getting other people to believe what happened to you is true. You know what I'm saying? It has nothing to do with that, because that shit is done. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. And I'm not saying that to minimize your experience, but I'm telling you, if you believe it happened, it happened. That's why I always say, like, if you need a validation point, let me be that. The shit happened. Now what? Right? The real work is me going back to that young girl and loving on her and affirming her and holding her accountable to the dream she always had. And that's why I'm so excited about this new year, because I have this discovery that has opened up a whole new toolbox for me. Well, you know what? The toolbox was already there. It has given me the opportunity to access, because getting things accomplished, anybody can do that, right? The tools are the same in the box, right? But it's about why you're using those tools. It's about what the intention is. And by tools, I mean, I think I said this earlier: commitment, consistency, discipline, follow through, taking risk, meeting new people, being decisive. Those are the tools, right? And when you have a mother wound, and when you've grown up with a mother who was not emotionally attuned to you, who not only didn't see you, but consistently diminished you and gaslit you and made you feel like your ideas were invalid, your experiences were invalid. For me, I remember, like, this is a big one for me. It's always so interesting when when people have a different experience. When I was graduating from high school, I wanted to go to Howard University. And I already had a job. I went as far as I paid for my own SAT. I paid for, my own, whatever the fee is when you have to apply to college. I filled all that out. I filled out, and I got accepted in Howard. I filled out my financial aid form, everything. I was an honor roll student, I had a job. I didn't get into trouble. That was the next step. And I remember bringing my financial aid, and my mother knew I wanted to do this. I remember bringing her my financial aid form, and I was like, all you have to do is sign it. And it was some other like financial information she had to put in there about her income or whatever. And she stood there. I remember us being in the kitchen, and she told me no. She said she wasn't going to sign the financial aid form because I wasn't ready to go to Howard. I wasn't ready to leave home, and I needed to stay home for 2 more years and go to like a technical college, and then I could go. Let me tell you something. That conversation, that argument we had was when it changed everything. That's when I knew, like, oh, she's never going to change. Nothing I'm ever going to do is going to be good enough. And it's so interesting. If I had a great relationship with my mother, I probably wouldn't have minded staying there for 2 more years. It would have been a conversation we had where I may take a couple classes at Howard, but I would be here. Because, I lived, 30 minutes away. So it wasn't like I had to leave home to go to Howard. It was a local university to where we lived. But because our relationship was so contentious, I really just wanted the freedom. And I felt like I had earned it. I felt like I had done everything that I was supposed to do that would allow me access to this next level of my dream. And her not believing in me was the part that really fucked me up, because there was really no reason why I couldn't go. There was nothing that I had done or shown that would make someone believe that I was not capable of moving into that next step in my life. And that really serves as like an example of my life with her, and all the ways that I was made to feel like I wasn't ready. Like that was just the core thing. You're not ready. You can't handle this. You can't handle that. You're not ready. You're not ready. As much as I fought her in those situations, and usually lost, which led me to be more rebellious. I'm not even going to front, because I'm just like, damn, you're just going to say no to everything. So I'm going to be in trouble anyway. Let me just go ahead and do something to be in trouble for. But we'll save that for a later episode. It really eroded my self-confidence in myself. And it created a really strong sense of doubt that I could have the things I wanted. And oh my God, when I look back at all the times when I didn't even try to get what I wanted because I talked myself out of it. Oh, you're not ready for that. That's not going to happen. They're not going to accept you. They're going to pick somebody else. That's not even a real opportunity. All the ways it's like a lifetime of chances not taken, and I know how those opportunities would have shaped the landscape of my life leading up to this point, right? So I have the evidence to know how important it is to do the healing work so you can take your life seriously. Like that is, I don't talk about healing your mother wound just because. So you can just be, I don't know what, happier, or you can just have more peace. Like all those things are great, but happiness and peace are cool. But how are you using them to change your life? Because confidence. Okay, confidence for what? So you can live the life that you have wanted to live. Not having autonomy over your life is like being wrapped in invisible electric barbed wire. It's either going to shock you or it's going to cut you. Which one? And healing releases that from around you so you can experience life. And I now understand, like, oh, it's not frivolous to want to squeeze all the juice out of this life. Like, that's what I want for my son, right? I want him to expel and express every ounce of the potential in him so he can live fully in this life for however long he's here, for him to experience himself and the reflection of his full self in others, and to grow and build a life and have these experiences. Like, I have to lead by example. I want that for myself. And I realized how I wasn't taking my life serious, but that was because I didn't own my life. I didn't have any authority over my life. It wasn't my life to take seriously. It was her life to take seriously. It was other people's life to take serious, because I felt my number one responsibility was the approval and acceptance of others, how other people saw me, how I compared to other people. That is some old double-minded shit that will have you so fucked up. Take it from me. So I'm so excited about the first of the year, because it in a way, symbolically, it is a fresh start for me on this path of really like 2022, I want my life, by the end of the year, I want my life to be unrecognizable, right? And it was interesting because I was doing some life visioning and like imagining and me feeling, me having the things that I want. And what popped up in that was a response from someone that was saying, oh, how'd that happen so fast? That happened too fast. That's not real. And of course, that's my own subconscious. That's my own limiting ego. That's my own limiting thoughts coming into play, showing up as somebody else's reply, but it's really me. And so I took a deep breath and I was like, what would you say to that? Like, what is your response to that? Because old me would say, you're probably right. This can't happen for me because it is probably too easy. And then I was like, ma'am, you're 47 years old. You've been working on this shit a long time. What looks like, a short window is really a lifetime in the making, and you deserve all of it. So it was really powerful to be able to speak to my ego and dispel that, because in my mind, that's the voice of my mother, the voice of disbelief. So for me to be able to speak to it and be like, that's a lie, showed me like, oh, okay, you ready out here to, you like Daniel's son in Karate Kid. You've been waxing on and waxing off. Now it's time to take what you've learned and really implement it in a full and strong way out here in the world. And I feel so loved by myself. Like I love myself, like really feeling like, oh, this is what it feels like to have your own back. And again, some people who already know this shit, they grew up with it, they have it, it's easy for them. Congratulations. But for others like me, to embrace yourself in a way, to bet on yourself, to take your life seriously, to take yourself seriously, it just feels so good, right? So I mean, I don't know if you got anything out of anything I talked about today. It really was me sharing my own process and where I am. And basically, this is what I wanted to talk about today. So I want you, and I guess really to impart how important the healing process is and why you're doing it and what it looks like and what the next steps are. Like you're healing so you can take your life seriously. Like, why the fuck are you here? I know you have dreams. I know you have dreams, but until you can have full, you don't have to have full autonomy, but you have to be on that spectrum of having all your autonomy to where you can own yourself enough to be like, I'm going after that. I'm going after that. I'm going after that. And that right there, I don't want that. Other people might want it. I don't want that shit. Get it out of here. Where you can be clear and decisive and intentional about your life now. Now. You can do the shit now, right? But you can only do it if you take the healing you're doing and you put it into action. Otherwise, you're just hiding, you're just biding time, and it's really just emotional bypassing. And it's some bullshit, right? It's like getting ready to get ready. It's like the double Dutch ropes are turning and you just standing there rocking back and forth like, oh, I'm gonna jump in. Ma'am, if you don't get your ass in there and start to hopping, even if you mess up, and I don't speak about this and I have it perfect, but I do know what I have is I'm taking my life serious, and it feels so good to even be able to do that. And that's all I want to tell y'all. Like, do the work so you can heal, so you can take your life serious. I love y'all. I'll be back next week. If you like this podcast, like it, subscribe, share, comment, tell your friend, your friend's friend, everybody. Follow me on Instagram. I am Jennifer Arnice. Even though I'm not on there as much anymore, but I am over there. So there's a lot of good stuff happening on that side of town as well. And okay, I'm about to go and eat lunch and then see what else the world has for me today. So I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. Thank you for joining me on the She Is Loved Project podcast. Every week, I'm committed to reminding you that you are loved, you are seen, and you are heard. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review it on iTunes and your favorite platforms. And if you're feeling really supportive, click the link in the show notes and consider supporting me via Patreon. This community support goes a long way. Thanks so much and see you next week.